The first footwork pattern that we're going to look at is what we'd call Tenkai. Tenkai. So from here, if I'm stepping forward, I want to make sure that whatever footwork pattern I use, my hips need to be forward, like so. So my hips are forward, back is straight, hands are up, my weight's predominantly on the front leg. From here, all I'm going to do is rotate over, pivoting, so that way my weight ends up forward in the opposite direction. So as I pivot, my weight doesn't stay back to where I'm off balance. My weight is shifted forward, but it's shifted forward during the pivot. So it's almost imperceptible, like so. Tenkai. The next footwork pattern is Tenkan. Starting just like before, it's Tenkai with a step back. But notice when I step back, my weight is forward again. So, stepping forward, Tenkai, I step back for Tenkan. As I'm stepping back, my weight shifts to where it would be forward here, and then I stop shifting my weight and place my foot back. And now I'm in this forward position. So, all in one fluid movement, like so. In the beginning of the training, the student is probably going to have to think about it, and then think about it again, and readjust till they're comfortable. But ideally, we want to move in one fluid movement into this position. That's Tenkan. The next one is Tenshin. I'm going to step forward into that forward position, and then with a quick snap of the hip, sweeping my back leg around. Stepping forward, sweeping that back leg around. So I'm in that forward position facing the opposite direction. From here, moving around. Here, moving around. Like so. Last, we want to look at a footwork pattern that we refer to as Ichimonji footwork. Notice there's a line by my feet. If I'm standing on this line represents a line of attack. Somebody punching, kicking, grabbing, tackling. The straight attack is coming in. From here, the student's going to move backwards 45 degrees. Imagine standing in the middle of the room, moving towards the corners. Stepping back, dragging this foot. So now that I'm 45 degrees facing that line, like so. Other direction. 45 degrees, dragging that foot off that line, facing this way. 45. 45. The student could practice multiple steps. 45 here, 45 again, staying off that line. This next section is called the Go-Gyo, these 5 repetitious exercises. These exercises are self-defense methods, so real basic self-defense methods that teach us body movement, where we move with our whole body. They start out in this position called Seigan no Kamae. Seigan. Looks like this. Like so. From here, my opponent is going to throw a lunging punch. So he's going to step with his foot as he punches with his hand. Okay, there's that straight attack that we talked about earlier in the footwork section. I'm going to use that Ichimonji footwork, that 45-degree backward pedaling footwork, to evade this strike. From here, I'm going to raise my back hand, like I'm going to say, I'd like 3 tacos. So 3, bring my foot in, and swing underneath like I'm bowling, straight arm under his chin, rocking back into Seigan no Kamae again. If he were to punch a second time, so you can see from the other angle, there's that 3, stepping through. This backhand comes into position on my hip, so that way when I rock back, I'm in position to do it again. So by myself, I could practice this as an exercise. The next kata in this series is called Sui no Kata. Kata means form. Sui no Kata is water, so it's the water form. From here, we're starting off in Seigan no Kamae again. And as my opponent attacks, I'm going to move offline 45 degrees to the rear with that Ichimonji footwork. So he attacks. I'm moving offline 45 degrees. As I'm doing that, I'm going to drop this hand, thumb down, drawing a big circle, making a fist and striking his arm. So back up one step, there we go. As he comes in, dropping that thumb, boom, hitting that arm. I'm going to pull, as I raise my arm up, I'm going to pull this leg in. Like so, bringing my back of my hand to my forehead, elbow pointed at the bad guy. I'm going to lunge in, striking into his neck with a edge of the hand strike this way. Tenkin's the fist, Shuto is the name of the action. Much like a fist and punching are two different things. Punching is the action, fist is the hand shape. So Tenkin, Shuto. So here. From the other side. The next kata in this series is Hi no Kata, the fire form. Starting out like the others, in the Seigan no Kamae, my opponent, Uke, is going to attack. He thrusts with a lunging punch, moving 45 degrees to the rear out of the way. Swooping downwards, same blocking action. As I pull my hands in, that foot slides in. I'm making a cross with my hands. Okay, Jumonji no Kata. Here, chopping out. That same Tenkin strike, instead of it coming out this way, it comes straight out, like so. So from here, the other side. The next kata in the series is Funo Kata, the wind form. Here, I'm going to stand in a Seigan no Kamae. My opponent, Uke, is going to strike into my ribs. So he's striking here. This time, I'm going to drop my arm straight down, striking into his arm. A low counter strike this way. As I'm striking down, I'm going to drop this back hand into what we call a shikankin, finger house fist. It's this extended knuckle fist. I'm dropping that down here as I pull that leg together. So, like so. Then I'm going to swing through, striking into his throat this way. Opposite direction. Here, into his throat. Backing off. So one more time. The final kata in this Gogyo series is Kuno Kata, the void form. Starting in this Seigan no Kamae, my opponent strikes to my ribs. We're backing up and blocking, and I'm shifting my weight, distracting, getting his attention up here. Okay? As I shift and twist and bring my hand up across the front of his face, drawing his attention, I'm going to raise my right leg, kicking him into the solar plexus with a heel stomp kick, Soku Gyaku. Next, we're going to look at 3 Muto Dori kata. Muto Dori means unarmed against a weapon. The common weapon of the time in feudal Japan was the sword. So these are 3 kata against a sword, 3 ways of defending against a sword attack. Here we're doing it for the practice of connection. Can I feel when my opponent's about to attack? Also looking at the angle that I'm taking and how that distancing and angling affects the situation. Now we're going to look at a set of lessons called the Aiki Kihon Happo. There are 8 specific lessons that we have that teach certain core principles that are to be applied to every technique that the student learns from here until 10th degree black belt. The first one is known as Ikkyo, first lesson. The technique that we use to demonstrate Ikkyo, which we could use any technique, but the technique that we've selected to teach this lesson is known as Muso Dori, Incomparable catch. The lesson is one of entering, closing the gap, getting closer to the opponent, controlling the space between us. Here the opponent grabs your wrist, cross wrist grab. He pulls. I'm not going to resist that pull. I'm going to go with it. If he pulls, I'm going to push towards his face. From there, I'm going to step in with my left foot and my left hand, pushing on his elbow towards his ear this way, affecting his balance. Then I'm going to shift with that Tenkai footwork, taking my opponent down. By myself, it looks like this. Cross wrist grab. He pulls. I'm extending in, trying to touch his eyes. Reaching through into the setup for that Tenkai movement. Opponent falls down. I back up with 2 steps. And then salute. Another option, my opponent grabs and pushes. So that pressure. I don't want to try to go in. I'm going to turn, pulling this way. Then I'm going to shuffle in, pushing that elbow towards his ear. Follow with a Tenkai footwork. Backing away with 2 steps into my standing salute position. Same side wrist grab. Notice that we started with the cross wrist grab. Let's grab cross one more time. All the techniques the student learns from here first. This is the most user-friendly way to learn it. It's not intimidating. Not as intimidating as a punch or a kick. So we're going to start here. Now we're moving on to a same side wrist grab. Here I'm going to escape his grip by grabbing him. He grabs me, I grab him. I grab his wrist with my opposite hand, slide down to his elbow. Once again, I'm going to push that elbow through to his ear as I enter. Moving in, getting his balance, rotating through with my Tenkai footwork. 1, 2 big steps backwards, and salute. Lapel grab. From the lapel grab, I'm going to reach over, smacking my opponent, grabbing, sinking my weight, grabbing his hand. I can press into pressure points on the hand, hurt, rotating around, following up, pushing that elbow to the ear, stepping in, turning with my Tenkai footwork, 2 big steps backwards, watching my opponent. He could get up and hurt me, so I'm still watching. I'm practicing staying connected. And salute. Person punches. Raising my hands up as if I'm using a sword, sliding down his wrist, pushing forward on that elbow and moving my body into my opponent and around my Tenkai footwork, 2 steps backwards, salute. Important that we're moving like a marionette. When this hand moves forward, that foot is forward. When this hand moves forward, this foot is forward. We're not going to be moving cross this way. Always moving flat. This way we're sure to move from our core. Opponent kicks. When he kicks, I bring my knee up, redirecting that kick, falling down into this position, grabbing the wrist. Hands on his elbow. As he moves towards me, I step in front, pushing his elbow towards his ear, taking him down with that Tenkai footwork. 2 steps back, salute. It's really important. This is the footwork. When training in the dojo with a training partner, both partners are practicing and have a role in the practice. Okay? So the attacker, uke, the one who receives the technique, has to keep attacking. So he doesn't want to stick his arm out and just stand there and let the person manipulate their arm. I want the person to attack and then turn their chest towards the other person and keep moving, as if they're going to hug them or hit them. Okay? So let's demonstrate. We just looked at Ikkyo, this first lesson. Let's look at it, how it could look if it was incorrectly done. So if opponent grabs, and I go to do Ikkyo, and he just stands totally still facing the other way, it's going to be kind of hard to pull him or to move him in this direction. If he keeps attacking, he's coming back towards me. Now, guiding him in this direction is a lot easier than pulling him into this direction. Okay? An object in motion stays in motion. So it's imperative that the attacker keeps attacking. Next, we'll look at the second lesson, Nikyo, which means second lesson. The technique we use to teach this lesson is Hon Gyaku. Hon Gyaku. Hon Gyaku translates to base reversal. The lesson that we learn from this is to set them up. In this scenario, I'm trying to do the first technique, this Ikkyo. But I get here and the person is very strong. I'm not able to move them. They're really solid and strong. So I've got to set them up. How I'm going to set them up on this cross wrist grab is to capture his fingers. Then I'm going to take my fingers around his arm, like so. He signifies that it hurts. I move in. Tenkai footwork, back to Ikkyo again. So I start out trying to do Ikkyo. It doesn't work. I do Nikyo. Then I do Ikkyo. So cross wrist grab. Cover the hands around the wrist. Enter. And pivot. 2 steps back. Salute. Same side wrist grab. I'm going to break that grip. Move in as if I was going to try to do Ikkyo. It's not working. I slide back down. I grab his fingers. My hand is going to match or mirror his hand. Grabbing on, pointing my finger at his nose. He taps, elbow, enter, guide him down. 2 steps back, and salute. Lapel grab. Striking, breaking his balance, peeling that hand off, applying that lock. Just like before, grabbing the back of his hand, rotating fingers to his nose. Sometimes people try to do it out here. We don't want the arm straight. I want to push it towards his face. This way. Enter in, pivot, 2 steps back, salute. Uke punches. Do Ikkyo. It's not working. Nikyo. I had his arm straight. I replaced the hand on his wrist with my other hand. Grab his wrist. Take his fingers towards his nose. He signifies that it hurts. I release the pressure and apply my Ikkyo. 2 steps back. Uke punches. I defend. Ikkyo. It's not working. Back up. Nikyo. Enter in. Take him down. 2 steps back. Uke kicks. I defend. Try to do Ikkyo. It's not working. Back up. Nikyo. Enter back in. Take him down. 2 steps back. Salute. The next technique in this series, Sankyo, the third lesson. The technique we use to demonstrate this lesson is takeori. Takeori. Takeori means breaking bamboo. Supposedly that's the sound it makes when you apply the technique. The technique teaches us to go around the problem. Takeori. From the cross wrist grab, here, he grabs and pulls. When he pulls, I'm going to grab this meaty part underneath the little finger. Stepping in, elbow to the ribs. Rotating around. As I back up with that Tenkan footwork, the technique is applied by putting the fingertips towards the armpit and then twisting like I'm loosening up a jar of Jiffy peanut butter this way. Once I get the tap, once he signifies that it hurts, I'm going to step around with my opposite leg, my far leg, facing the opponent this way. So I've got his wrist twisted and his elbow locked out. From there, we shove him to the ground. He grabs and pulls. I move in, rotate, step back. Move him back, step around, locking that elbow out, taking him down to the ground. 2 steps back, salute. From the same side, wrist grab. Going to break his grip. Move in, pushing on him as if to do Ikkyo. Here he resists. He stands up to turn towards me. As he does, I grab the fingers and the hand down here this way, rotating it in towards his armpit, moving him around. At that point, I'm going to step in, locking his elbow out, taking him to the ground. 2 steps back. Lapel grab. Same thing. Moving in as if to do Ikkyo. He resists by standing up. I change hands. He moves around. I come in, attacking that elbow, taking him down. Backing up twice. Salute. From a punch. Moving in as if to do Ikkyo. He stands up. Rotate that wrist around. Entering in until I get the elbow in the position to take him down. Back away twice. Salute. Next version. He kicks. Deflecting the kick. Raise him up. Locking the wrist. This way. 2 steps back. Yonkyo, the 4th lesson. The technique we use to demonstrate this lesson is called Kunnuki. Kunnuki means bolt lock. The lesson is pain and indifference. Often in training, the student doesn't want to hurt the other student, so they're a little too soft, too light. So here, you've got to be willing to cause a little bit of pain to know you're doing it correctly. So the difference between pain and injury. You take your finger and you apply pressure backwards on your finger. At some point, it's going to hurt a little bit. Once you release the pressure, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's the type of pain that we're talking about causing, not injury. So from here, from this cross wrist grab, my opponent, Uke, grabs my wrist. I enter in as in doing Ikkyo. From here, I take the hand that is on his elbow, I turn it around and grab his bones, the bones in his arm, just like I would hold a sword if I was holding it left-handed. I'm going to take this pad of my finger here and apply a downward camming pressure onto the bone in his arm. He taps, then I move into Ikkyo. I'm taking this pad of my hand and applying it. He has 2 bones. We're going to attack the radius bone right here. Setting it in and grabbing. I'm only grabbing with these three fingers and the thumb, leaving this finger extended so this bone sticks out. If I bring my finger in, it gets covered up with muscle. So I want it to stick out as much as possible. Then I'm going to apply pressure into his bone. One more time. Cross wrist grab. Ikkyo. Yonkyo. Ikkyo with the pivot. Back away twice. Salute. From the same side wrist grab. He grabs. I break that grip. Grabbing his arm. Moving in as if to do Ikkyo. Switching hands. I apply pressure onto the bone. He taps. Then I move into Ikkyo. Like so. Lapel grab. Smack. Break his grip. Here, I'm going to apply pressure, grabbing onto his arm. Like so. Enter in. Take him down. From a punch. Entering in as if doing Ikkyo. Grabbing that bone in the arm. Applying pressure. Taking him down. 2 steps back. Salute. Person kicks. Defend against